government data is only one supply side that has been unleashed, but that there is another supply side that is being collected, and you can have all kinds of arguments and discussions about whether that is done in an appropriate manner. But clearly there's another supply side there that quite often is untapped, and that's the supply side of data within corporate hands. How can you also unleash that supply side that is being held and is being collected by corporations in order to then address that to improve people's lives? And then in this context, in order to then drive new kinds of civic tech kind of solutions. And so we created this directory at the moment, which is called datacollaboratives.org, where we have identified 97 examples with regard to how corporations have shared the data.
There's a number of other examples that we've collected on this site. As Stefan said, 97. We have number 100 already lined up. Everything from Global Fishing Watch, so bringing together data to inform illegal fishing activities, whether it's related to human rights or overfishing of certain areas, to other examples of telecom data being unlocked to inform institutional decision-making around where people are and how to target resources, and many from the developing world, especially focused on things like health interventions around the Ebola response, for example. We've gotten some kind of interesting insight into where this new field of corporate data sharing for the public good is really active. Many of these projects, the Global Forest Watch, for example, or Global Fishing Watch, they aren't focused on specifically one region. It's about bringing data together from all around the world to inform kind of interventions that can happen all around the world.
That there are 5 big value propositions why you would want to have access to corporate data. Majority of the 97 cases that we have identified are really around knowledge creation, transfer, research consortiums that are being created around, quite often, corporate data, and then public service design, followed by situational awareness, and the others are the other reasons why accessing corporate data might be valuable from a public interest point of view.
The data pooling piece is the one that seems to be most prevalent. And again, I think that probably speaks to some of the incentive issues of being able to access competitors' data and other public sector institutions' data, as well as sharing your own. We also see trusted intermediaries, also probably speaking to the issue of trust and how much do I want to release my data and potentially affect competitive advantage down through intelligence products and the others.
So we really have to become smarter about what are the different ways of actually tapping into corporate data. And now that we know that there are multiple variations, now we as a civic tech community, we can actually start thinking about what kinds of sharing agreements or what kind of sharing platforms do we want for what kind of purposes. Is also what are actually some of the incentives for corporations to share the data or to at least enable others to make sense of some of this data. There are risks involved with regard to accessing and sharing data, and especially those risks, from my point of view, need to be considered from a broader perspective than just privacy, which is like always the discussion that we have about, but there are privacy concerns as it relates to sharing data. So one thing that we need to start doing is developing what I call data responsibility decision trees. Decision trees that enable civic tech organizations to work together with corporations around their data, but enables them to also pose questions at the different stages that then informs them about both the benefits and the risks, and that then informs a better way forward, and might even inform also not to do it in the first place quite often as well.
So this is the Designing a Data Collaborative methodology that we've developed, like Stefan said, kind of based on this extensive look at the current field of practice, as well as kind of the burgeoning research going into this field. So it's essentially 8 different major phases, from identifying the demand all the way through iteration. We're currently kind of operationalizing this with UNICEF in particular, working with them to identify ways that corporate data might be able to help them address some of the problems that their missions are facing around the world. And we're kind of putting this into practice and seeing whether it works. So it's actually happy birthday to OGRX. So we launched it last year in Barcelona at TICTeC, which is pretty exciting. So it's a platform that, as Stefan said, we launched with mySociety and the World Bank, really aimed at kind of getting our arms around the field of civic tech and open governance research. And we have currently 688 research papers, which shows research papers, reports, books, I should say, all manner of research publications on these different 21 or so fields that are relevant to governance, innovation, and civic tech. We were always looking for new contributions to the site. If you go on, it's ogrx.org. There's a submission page there. We're always looking for new work, whether it's your work or just things that you think are interesting that we should have there. And you can also use the OGRX hashtag to make any suggestions there, and we'll get it up on the site.
What would you like to see beyond a list of 700 papers?